Hello everyone, I'm Shawn Credle, and can you believe that a new WWE champion has been crowned?
And I'm Bray, and can you believe that a former WWE champion is returning? All of this and more on this edition of The Squared Circle.
All my life I've been over the top. I don't know what I'm doing, all I know is I don't want to stop. All fired up, I'm gonna go till I drop. No other in the way, don't make me, I don't want to stop.
Welcome to the program, everyone. On this edition, we will discuss the Slammies, the TLC pay-per-view, WrestleMania 26, and the death of the Samoan Bulldozer. But we will begin with breaking news. The Wrestling Observer is reporting that former multi-time world champion, Bret the Hitman Hart, has signed a short-term contract with World Wrestling Entertainment. The deal will begin on January 1st and expire a few weeks after WrestleMania 26. Now, Mark, what does this mean for the WWE and wrestling in general?
Well, first of all, let me say the excellence of execution is back. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Bret the Hitman Hart has, after over a decade of absence from the World Wrestling Entertainment, making his return on air January 1st, probably 4th, but this is huge, Shawn. This is one of those things where it's almost like when David Lee Roth came back to Van Halen. There was just no way that this was going to happen, but we're seeing it happen right in front of us. I can see nothing but good come from this.
Well, what I worry from this is that there's a whole generation of wrestling fans that don't even know who Bret the Hitman Hart was and why he is so important to the history of World Wrestling Entertainment. I mean, many people go back to that infamous Survivor Series where Bret Hart screwed Bret Hart, according to Vince McMahon, and lost the WWE Championship to Shawn Michaels. Now, of course, that led to Bret Hart moving from WWE to WCW at that time. And the question has always been, did Bret do right for the business? What's your opinion on that?
Well, the wrestling insiders, the people that work behind the scenes, they will probably have a very different view of the situation than, let's say, the casual fan. Now, for those of you who don't know, at Survivor Series in 1997, Bret Hart was supposed to win the match in Montreal in Canada and then abdicate and drop the title that next night on Raw. Now, is that good for business? Not necessarily, but it didn't really hurt it because Bret Hart meant so much to the fans at that time, meant so much to the business. That is one of those situations where it would have been okay for that to happen. Now, Vince McMahon thought otherwise, and you know what? That's Vince McMahon. Far be it from me to question Vince McMahon. This guy knows the business. He grew up in the business. From a fan's perspective, no, he didn't do wrong. But from an insider's perspective, you may look at it the other way.
Well, here's my opinion on it. You're an employee, and you do exactly what the employer tells the employee to do. You don't have a decision in that. If he tells you that this is going to be the end of your title reign, then that should be it, regardless of where it is. You sign the contract, that is exactly what has to happen. Now, of course, in the back of McMahon's mind, he saw that vision on Monday Nitro where Medusa Michelli, or Alundra Blaze at the time, dumped the Women's Championship belt in the trash can live on Nitro. He certainly did not want that to happen again, especially with his world championship. I can't blame Mr. McMahon for doing what he did,
you know,
and I don't see anything wrong with it.
But you know what, Shawn? If you look at the relationship between Bret Hart and Vince McMahon, up until that point, they both had said they had a father and son relationship.
Yes, they did.
I think Vince McMahon was watching his back, but it was with someone that he didn't have to do it with. He didn't have to do that. Bret Hart would not have done that. Okay, you may argue that he might have, but maybe he wouldn't have done that, Shawn. And you as a fan, and you as a wrestling insider, would know that that would not have been the case. Had it been someone else, perhaps, but not someone that was like your son. Someone who wanted to stay in the company. He did not want to leave. But, you know, business happens, and both sides decided that an amicable split would be okay. And unfortunately, it didn't work out, but that's not the point. The big news is that he's coming back.
That's right.
He's coming back.
And what does that mean for the future of WWE? You got to think of a lot of things. You have to think of the Hart Dynasty, number one, and what does this do as far as they're concerned And number two,
To the top.
yeah, exactly. And number two, Shawn Michaels is still there. And remember when Bret Hart was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he did it on one condition, that Mr. Michaels was nowhere in the building.
Well, between, us and the fans, we don't know what has happened since then. He was inducted in 2005, correct?
Yes.
Now, it is now going to be 2010. This is 5 years later. Could Shawn and Bret have come to some sort of an amicable, who knows? But you know what? We don't know that. We don't know that.
I doubt it, but we don't know.
We don't know. Now, can they be professional enough to work together? Well, it looks like they're going to have to, at least until WrestleMania. Now, that aside, absolutely, the Hart Dynasty is going to probably get a very good push.
Yes,
I know
will.
that, in my opinion, Bret Hart is in the WWE now for two reasons. Reason number one, closure. That company made him. He bled for that company after leaving his father's company in the early 80s, and blood, sweat, and tears all the way till 1997. He bled for that company. He hurt for that company. He did it because he loved the company. And he left on such bad terms. This is something that will give him closure. And number two, I think he's doing it for his niece and his nephew.
I would add one more to that. I think he's doing it so that finally we can get Owen Hart into the Hall of Fame. Way overdue in my opinion.
Absolutely. I can't believe I overlooked that.
Well, the TLC pay-per-view is upcoming, or
Yes.
actually has taken place, and produced many shocking events, Mark.
Absolutely. The pay-per-view itself was outstanding. What a great concept. TLC, tables, ladders, and chairs. Yeah. I mean, you've got, for ladder matches have been around for a long time. And they've always been great, whether it was Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10, or most recently, you got your Edge and and Hardy, and you got your when you get the Dudley Boys involved. I mean, there's so much going on there. It was fantastic.
Yeah, yes, it was, and it produced many shocking results, including the crowning of a new WWE champion in Sheamus, a new Intercontinental champion in Drew McIntyre, and new unified tag team champions in Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Any of those shocking to you, or did you expect any of those?
I expected them. I expected them only because Sheamus and McIntyre are pretty much the chosen two right now. Whoever Triple H and Shawn Michaels backs up at this point, those are the guys who are going to get the push. And Vince McMahon himself is standing behind McIntyre.
Yes, he is.
So those two, good for them. Now DX, look, these guys are in the twilights of their career. DX has never won the tag titles.
Right.
They're going to give it to them.
Not collectively, they haven't won.
Collectively. They've won all the titles by themselves, but collectively, Generation X, as Shawn Michaels and Triple H, have never won the tag titles. And I think this is going to set up for a Hart Dynasty DX feud.
Quite convenient that Bret the Hitman Hart's returning just at the right time.
Exactly. Vince, you clever bastard.
Now, of course, a lot of superstars in the back are talking about Sheamus becoming the WWE champion. Never before has a new superstar been ascended to the top ranks like Sheamus has in just 6 months' time. Is Sheamus the right person to be the new face of Raw?
Hold on, I'm hearing Goldberg. Sheamus, really? He's Goldberg. That's what he is. He's Bill Goldberg. I think a lot of the people in the locker room are probably not happy about it, but on the flip side, people were tired of John Cena. So, I don't know.
There were a number of guys, Mark Henry, MVP, Carlito, Jack Swagger. There's a lot of new guys that are out there. They chose Sheamus.
Absolutely.
And quite frankly, I predicted that he would win, but I'm still surprised that they actually pulled the trigger. And now Sheamus will have, who knows how long of a title run he'll have. Maybe, can Sheamus go into WrestleMania as the champion?
Well, we'll find out. We'd love to talk about this a heck of a lot more, but we got to take a break. We'll be right back.